You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm the bad boy of X-Men podcasting, the co-host of the best X-Men podcast out there. And I'm a werewolf wearing Zach's skin.
This bit just continues. It's not... I thought by now you might have given it up, but... Never. Till the last episode.
I am sticking with this fiction that we've created here, Adam. And I think it's important to stick with the fiction that we've created.
Yeah.
The thing about fiction, I think about this a lot, is that a lot of fiction, shared universe fiction specifically, does outgrow the shackles of the IP and the shareholders that bind it.
Are you saying that there's communities out there that take these characters that they love and care about and create their own stuff that's outside the realm of what is traditionally considered copyrighted material by Marvel, the company?
You think I'm going to let Mickey Mouse tell me how to handle copyright? Brother, do you think I'm just going to be clear. Do you think we cleared our intro music with the Konami Corporation?
Well, I mean, we probably could have, but,
We're not going to!
But to our point, almost everything, with a few exceptions that we've covered on this show, has been, like, I don't want to use the word canonical.
Right, because this hasn't been edified at the Council of Nicaea.
But it's been official Marvel comics with like a few exceptions that might be, let's say, like unpublished or...
That was done under the auspices of Marvel's editorial purview, under all of their copyright and intellectual property. It has not been pirated. It has not been remixed. It has not been chopped and or screwed. It is not underground comics made by people, or fan works, as some people would call it, though I think that's a little derogatory, because I do believe that just because someone is a fan or not a fan of something does not have any real bearing on the quality of a work, and to call something a fan work is to call it lesser than, if only to bow to the masters over at Disney. And you think I'm going to bow to a mouse? No, I don't care. I can make my own opinion up here.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're talking about this is for a very specific reason. And that is, after, 8 years of doing this show, we are broadening the scope of what we're covering with this episode, because all three stories that we are going to cover today are fan comics that were not made by Marvel, or even, I guess they were not like stopped by Marvel, but
we'll talk about this with one of the comics that we're talking about here. But Marvel had a much looser hand than, say, Robert E. Howard's estate and the Conan people, who I can tell you have stopped comics by one of these creators before. That I would say were transformative works, and also Conan's IP rights are absolutely
bonkers, confusing, juggling act.
Here's the thing about Conan. If it actually went to court, I bet everything in Conan would be like 100%, like everyone can use it, but no one's taking Conan to court. Like, that's the thing.
No one's going to fight over the rights to say Shuma Gorath in a Doctor Strange movie, or put it on a Marvel vs. Capcom toy. Have you seen the Shuma Gorath Marvel Legends toy? It's so fun.
No!
Oh, it's
Yuma
great.
Goreth, Marvel Legends. Okay,
Yeah.
wait.
You got to check that out. It's pretty
Okay,
great.
wait. What's the issue with this?
What's the issue with what?
Oh, because they're calling him Gargantos.
Exactly.
That's Shumagorath.
Well, right.
That's
We all know
Shumagorath
that.
from Marvel vs. Capcom specifically.
Right. But when this same character was used in Doctor Strange 2, he was not called that because of this Conan copyright nonsense.
Okay, hold on. No. Adam, it's better.
It's even better? I love it.
Yes.
Even better.
Wait.
Is it really better?
No, it's not. I misread it. They did just look around and find a green octopus that they could use from some 60s Namor comics.
Oh, that's great though. I'm glad
That's
they
what
found
they
that
did.
name.
They didn't just come up with the name Gargantos. They said, no, this is Gargantos from 60s Namor comics. You remember from Submariner Volume 2, number 13?
There's some freaky stuff in those old Submariner
Can
comics.
you imagine the job that somebody had to have to figure out, okay, how do we fix this? Because you can't tell me that Roy Thomas created this character, and I struggle to believe that Roy Thomas would have been like, oh yeah, Gargantos. I made him in this one issue. Right after I made Wolverine.
Yeah, everyone's forgotten about what they made in that era. Well, okay, so we are talking about these comics that are not official Marvel comics, and we do want to get into what each of them are as we go through the show. But who requested this, Zach? Because this is a Patreon request.
This is a Patreon request, people. This is a Patreon request from our good old Patreon supporter, Amos Bale. Amos went over to patreon.com/battle of the atom, reached deep down into their hearts and pocketbooks, and tossed a couple of coins right into our coffers. If you want to be like Amos and do all those things I just said, you can go over to patreon.com/battle of the atom. At the $5 a month level, we'll do a whole episode based around one of your suggestions. And you know what? I feel like we've proven ourselves. There's few suggestions that we'll say no to. I'm not saying we haven't done it before. I'm not saying I haven't said that's an Avengers comic.
We do have limits, but we love creative suggestions, right? So
Also,
if you are a patron and haven't made your requests, you should do so.
Also, what was beautiful about this request is that it was a request that I had already written out an episode prompt for. It was like, whenever we have free time, we're going to do this one, Adam. So it was perfect.
Synergy. All right. So specifically, the comic that was requested for this episode is what, Zach?
It is a comic called Kit and the Wolf by John Allison, who you probably know best from Giant Days. I think for comics readers, that's probably his best known work, which he did with Max Sarin, predominantly with a few other artists. But John was a webcomics artist in his own right. Were you a Bobbins versus Scary Go Round guy, Adam? Like in your webcomic reading days?
I have sadly not as up on John Allison's work as I would like to be. I love the way he draws. I think he's got an amazing sense of humor, and yet I am woefully behind on reading his stuff. So
you're not like a Bad Machinery guy at all.
No, but I mean, I'm aware of all of this stuff. I've read some of it, but I really wasn't reading it like on a daily basis, or weekly whenever it was coming out.
I also wasn't a Bad Machinery guy. I'm a big Giant Days guy. I have the Giant Days library collection over here on my shelf.
Nice.
It's great. I love Giant Days. I think it is a nearly perfect comic series where John Allison will tell 20-page stories, but each page, because Allison has such a webcomics background, each page individually will be its own story, which I think is such a talent.
Mm-hmm.
And John Allison says this. He says, here for the next 7 weeks, I present a very stressful special project. I had to move house recently. There were weeks of stress and upheaval, and I didn't have anything on the slate that I wanted to work on in tricky circumstances. So I made the default comic I might have made as a child, an X-Men comic. If I hadn't worked, you'd have been reading here that I'm currently taking a much-needed break. It's not a crossover. It's not a joke. I tried really hard. If I make an X-Men comic, it's not going to be these guys have breakfast and hang out comic. There has to be pulse-pounding action and mutant danger. The things I couldn't write or draw when I was 13. And that is beautiful. But also, he was like, I'm still going to put a joke on it on every page because that's me. And I love that. And it is a comic about Kitty Pryde and Wolverine going to not a Bruce Springsteen concert.
Well, okay, so this is very important to me about this comic. So,
Okay,
as listeners know, Adam is a New Jersey native. And so Bruce Springsteen is very important to our land here. Okay. But this is also important to me for another reason. So not only is it because Bruce Springsteen embodies so much of like the New Jersey spirit, but the version of Bruce Springsteen that John Allison is using here. And so the premise of this comic, just for a quick recap, is that Kitty is gifted tickets to go see Brick Springstern. Okay.
Rick Springstern, we all know him from, yes.
Everybody she would go with is away. So she invites Wolverine. Wolverine is like, I ain't going to no namby-pamby rock show, until she gives him a copy of the equivalent of Nebraska, to which
Minnesota.
Wolverine is like, man, this guy's got soul. They go to the concert, which is then being hijacked or attempted to be hijacked by Lady Deathstrike and the Reavers. Now, back to Brick Springsteen for a second.
Brick Springsteen.
This is a very important piece of Transformers history. And John Allison has acknowledged this in talking about this particular book, because back in Transformers number 14, when it was still being published by Marvel Comics, they have a full issue that takes place at a Bruce Springsteen concert. And that is the origin of Brick Springstern and his, what are they called? What is the band called? It's not...
If you're asking me about any Transformers thing that's not More Than Meets the Eye or The Lost Light, I'm not helpful here.
Anyway, so this is just a confluence of things that, like, you know, are key to things that Adam likes and are part of Adam. So,
see,
John Allison, two thumbs up.
I'll give respect to Bruce Springsteen. Now, if you were to say, "Oh yeah, I'm from New Jersey. Bon Jovi is very important to me," I'd be like, "Okay, buddy, you need to chill out. They're a bad band."
Not a fan of the Bon and the Jovi.
Now, if you would have been like, "Oh yeah, I'm from New Jersey. The Gaslight Anthem is so important to me," I'd be like, "That makes sense."
Sure. And also, of course, Gaslight Anthem, very much inspired by the Boss. So
by the Boss, just like
lineage of New
Romance.
Jersey bar rock. You know, it's just, that's how it is. So, I mean, I'm coming at this from, like, you know, having this great sort of connection to what it is that John is doing here, but it's also very funny. What did you think of this, Zach?
So, I'm a John Allison fan. I think John Allison has a really fun way of handling dialogue, which we get through this entire comic. They are not... Kitty and Wolverine are not written like joke characters. They are written completely in the spirit of Chris Claremont's X-Men, specifically the From the Ashes era of X-Men, which is what this is. It is that time, but they're also written with like the same humor that you get from John Allison's comics, which are a lot of just verbal jokes and things that I tend to really like in this. It also helps that his cartooning is delightful in this.
Great cartooning, great comedy acting on these characters.
I always had issues with Giant Days when Allison would come in and do an issue on his own as a fill-in, largely because I think Max Sarin's one of the most talented like cartoonists that are out there, period. So it's like when there was an Erica Henderson fill-in issue for Squirrel Girl. It was like, even when they had talent on there, it's like, but it's not
It's not the thing.
It's not the thing.
Right.
But here, starting from a fresh sheet of paper, it's really fun to listen to, or fun to read, fun to look at. It is both a enjoyable, funny fan comic, but it's also done at a deeply professional level, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, the quality of work by non-professionals, even when they're trying their hardest, varies a lot.
Sure. I mean, obviously, John has a lot of experience in doing this kind of
John
work.
Allison's been doing this for 20 some years, like daily,
Right.
and has won awards. So I feel like John Allison's in a good shape to do exactly this. It comes through really well. This is a comic that, besides the fact that it's written and drawn like a comic from 2023 and not 1988, could have come out in the 80s. Like it still has that feel of something. Like it is not incongruous with the Claremont stuff.
No, I mean it could have actually like fit into continuity. It is still very funny though. I mean, you have the Reavers who are all dressed like security, including Madison Square Garden security, including Bonebreaker, who is very excited to sit behind a desk to hide his tank treads. That joke alone is really funny.
Just to be clear, yes, we know that from a pure continuity standpoint, the Reavers wouldn't be around during Fall of or From the Ashes. Shut up. It's fun.
Yeah.
Shut up, it's fun.
Yeah. But you know, there's like little tiny Easter egg jokes, like a guy wearing a shirt that says the Stone Ponies. But you also get this really funny thing about how the Reavers are going to like abduct Brick Springstern so that he can write songs to inspire people to respect cyborgs more. I mean, it's very silly.
It's a little bizarre.
Yeah, but like their goal is to turn the boss into a cyborg so that he can sing inspirational songs to unite the nation to appreciate the Reavers more. It's very funny.
It's a fun comic, but it's also one that doesn't feel like it's like making jokes at the expense of its characters. Kitty is Kitty throughout this whole thing and feels like Kitty. Wolverine, who gets to be the butt of most of the jokes in general, but that's more because he would be the butt of the jokes if Claremont was writing this. Like Claremont would play up that he is the grumpy, out of place person at this rock concert.
Yes.
So he has an odd amount of respect for Brick Springstern now because he's realizing that Brick Springstern is speaking from the heart, and that maybe it's possible that Wolverine didn't actually listen to the lyrics of Born in the USA.
Yes,
He's
that
now
is a joke
realizing,
also.
oh, wait a minute. This guy is criticizing the Reagan era. He is not just being blindly patriotic. There's a little bit more to what Brick Springstern is doing here.
Yes. I also really appreciate that John is trying to evoke the era enough that in the middle of the comic, there is also a mock bullpen bulletin
The mock bullpen bulletin is so good.
from the 80s Jim Shooter era. It includes a fake letter from Stan Lee about an Alfred Hitchcock version of Iron Man starring Tom Selleck, and some really funny jokes in the issue checklist about the Kama Sutra. It's very funny. The issue culminates with Kitty being called up on stage in a thanks for, rescuing Brick in a homage to Dancing in the Dark.
It's just a delightful little slice of comic. Like, folks, if you just want to enjoy a comic, this is a comic that you can read for free. And I don't know what you've read today. I don't know what you're going to read today. I bet you it's just about the best X-Men comic you're going to read today.
Yeah, and we're going to put links to all three of the stories in the notes for this show. This is at scarygoround.com/kitwolf. And I agree. I mean, it goes down so smooth, especially if you are a fan of any of the disparate pieces that are going into this.
Listen, if you listen to this podcast, you're a fan of some of the pieces that are going into this comic.
Yes. Even if you just like Kitty and Wolverine and want to read a fun Kitty and Wolverine adventure, you could. This is.
Do you
really
guys like
fun.
Wolverine First Class? Because this is kind of like Wolverine First Class, but done at a level that if I was Marvel, I would have called up John Allison and be like, "Want to write some X-Men for us, man?"
Yeah, I would much rather read this than that.
John, would you wanna do that? And yeah, no, you're right. The right answer is no. Let John Allison do his own thing. And that's not true for John Allison. That's true for literally every creator out there. I'd rather them do their own thing than be shackled by the man trying to placate our fascist government. I don't know exactly what Disney's doing to placate our fascist government. I'm just assuming at this point, really.
Well, I think the difficulty here is going to be putting things that are not in the realm of official into this list. I'm really curious to see how this works out. So, Zach, why don't you tell our listeners about our big old list?
Here's the thing that we're doing, folks. We are ranking every X-Men story from A to Z, from best to worst. The A to Z part's easy. I highlight them all, and I go to sort and filter in Excel, and I just filter by A to Z. It does that right away. By how good those comics are, that's where the trick comes in, and that's where we come in. We're ranking them from best to worst, the best being the House of X, the Powers of 10, the 250th best being that one Dracula issue of Uncanny X-Men 159, the 500th best issue being the start of X-Men 2099, Generation M with an M, is the 750th best X-Men comic, the 1000th best X-Men comic is the start of Mark Yuge's Young X-Men, and the worst X-Men comic of all time is 2099 War of Tomorrow. That's the 1065th comic that we've ranked. And here's the thing, you say it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be easy, Adam, because I have broken free from the constraints of canon. I do not need a Marvel sticker on the front of a comic for me to say, is it good or not? I can tell you if it's good or not.
This is
judging by this list, if we were just to take an average of this list, putting a Marvel stamp on an X-Men comic would average a bad comic.
Well, I definitely think this is a top 300 comic because at 300 we have that Gold Balls issue of Uncanny Volume 3. I think this is better than that.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't even feel bad about it. It is. I think here's a weirdly comparable one.
Yeah.
At 253 is the Jonathan Hickman, Nick Patera, Astonishing Tales Mojo World. Has
an indie vibe. I like this better than that.
I like this better than that. This is a better comic.
Yeah.
I think as a work of comics, this is better than, say, Giant Size Little Marvel AVX.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
That's at 240. We are going to run into some challenges as we push up the list more.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put it ahead of New Mutant Summer Special at 229.
I think we are. Here's what's right around New Mutant Summer Special.
Yeah,
it is at 227. We have X-Men Black Apocalypse. At better. 228, we have Cable Blood and Metal.
Better.
At 229, we have the Summer Special. At 230, we have the Marvel's Epilogue. Which is, look, John Allison would say this too. Alex Ross is a better artist than John Allison is.
It's a beautifully illustrated coda. I like that. I will say I think I find more joy in reading Kit and Wolf than I do the Marvel's Epilogue.
I'm torn there. Because here's the thing. Right below that, just to be clear, is like X-23 Volume 10, or Volume 3, 10 and 12, Touching Darkness. The Quest for Nightcrawler is not that far below here. Extermination. Like, we're running into comics that generally we like, but
this is very much on par with a 238 Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur 17, which is a crossover with the X-Men that then they flash back to the 80s X-Men and have to investigate something at the mall. Like, we're very much on the same page as that. Even down to like the similariness, they're in a similar cartoony language John Allison and Natasha Bustos.
Yes, but I think John Allison delivers the punchlines better throughout.
Yeah,
More frequently in his.
They're doing something a little bit different, but I think we're in that area.
I'm going to give up my chains and say yes, this is better than Marvel's epilogue. So this can be our new 230 on the list.
All right, great showing, and for folks who missed that when it came out, definitely check that one out. The next one we're going to check out is actually a fan comic from the Krakoa era, and it is done by one Valentine Smith. This is called Teresa, and in print it is also I'm going to take my copy out of the bag.
I will not go into my long box and grab my physical copy of this.
It is also labeled as Resurrection X Recovery on the front and back of the print version, which I believe is not available anymore. But you can still read the.
I don't think it's available anymore.
No, I think the store says it is sold out. So for folks who, I would hope that people listening to this are familiar with Valentine's artwork. They are the artist behind the collaboration with Zoe Tunnel of Blade Maidens, which is also a really cool web comic that if you have not checked that out, it's pretty awesome. Eventually, once it's done, it will be published in print by Dark Horse, but you can check that out online. And
Valentine's also the creator of a sticker that I actively disagree with that says, please ask me about the X-Men, which I don't. This is a lot of love to Valentine, someone who I've broken bread with. Like someone, I would like to say that we are friendly people.
Mm-hmm.
Very much differing on our feelings of, do we want people to ask us about the X-Men?
It's still a great sticker.
It's a great sticker.
Valentine is also the
me.
designer of the Glob Herman with a cup of coffee sticker / keychain that I own. Very, very amazed by the designs that they come up with. But this particular comic is, I'm just going to say it off the bat. It's really moving.
Yes.
It is not super long. It is all of, I believe, 10 pages. If you take away, like the print edition has, some ancillary stuff with the covers and, that can be found on some of Valentine's other print work. But this is a comic that is talking about not only Krakoan resurrection, but is specifically addressing it in comparison, the context of sobriety in regards to the character of Siren. And it is masterful.
It's really freaking good. Like, here's the thing. I've been a fan of Valentine's art. Like, I've got some of Valentine's art right over here. I think Valentine's a fantastic artist. I was unfamiliar with their game vis-a-vis storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until this comic came out. I had seen them do work with others. I think Valentine and Zoe did a comic while Zoe was working with Comics XF. That was like an X-Men house party thing. Like, so I'd seen Valentine take someone else's vision and put it into print. I had not seen them tell their own story and a very personal story and tell it in such a impactful and moving way. Like, I was truly blown away by how powerful this comic is.
It is, because it is only 10 pages long, you might think that it is not very dense. But Valentine manages to pack a ton of stuff onto every page, to the point where the ongoing narration conceit throughout the story is what day we are on. In the comic, it is talking about that in regards to Teresa having been resurrected as day 1, but it is also the number of days in which Teresa is remaining sober in the midst of all of the stuff that's going on around her. And so we are time skipping in many cases just panel to panel from day 1 to 10 to 13 to 47. It is jumping around in not only what is going on in Teresa's life, but we are also seeing all of these. If you are a fan of this era, you are also seeing all of these contextual things. The Green Lagoon, you are seeing Vida Ayala's New Mutant characters being trained in the backgrounds. There is a bit with Boom Boom. There's another quick thing about Cyclops pressuring somebody to become an X-Man and somebody not wanting them to be. It is jam-packed on every single page with all of this world building that is happening around the character, and yet the core metaphor of battling against addiction, and not having to start over from scratch, being equated with the resurrection protocols of Krakoa. It's really powerful. It's very, very moving.
It's ridiculous because here's the thing. There is not a single time in this comic where they talk about alcohol addiction at all. Like that is subtext of this comic because it doesn't need to be, because it doesn't need to be textual. You can read into this just looking and say, "Oh, I'm an intelligent reader." Valentine is trusting their audience enough to say, "You know what we're talking about here," without having to go out and be explicit about it, because this is coming from a place of internal narration on Terry's point of view, and Terry knows what she struggles with.
Yes. If you're familiar with the character, you know that there's a built-in aspect to that. The closest it comes to really making the connection very literal is the like Alcoholics Anonymous-esque group that Boom Boom and Teresa attend on one page, and it's what, half a page, and
that could be literally any support group. Like,
and the indication in the second to last narration bubble that says, "I am terrified, I am grateful, I am still sober, and I have
right.
so much more to do." And so we are getting the connective tissue there to make the idea come to fruition. But I'm also just impressed by how much character work is done in just such a sparse and selective way. I mean, there's this entire sequence with Teresa and Monet and the way they're talking and the conversation, and it's so selective about what each word balloon says, and yet it still conveys so much.
Like, if you didn't know these, here's the thing: you couldn't read this if you weren't an X-Men person, because you have to be at minimum familiar with, hey, this is what Krakoa and Krakoan Resurrection and all of this is. You need to have that.
I do think it helps tremendously, because you do need to know, if the word Morrigan is dropped, or,
What that means.
Why are Monet, Siren, and Lorna connected in some way? Like you have to have a general idea of maybe what was going on in Peter David's X Factor.
However, what I would challenge with that, especially like the Monet stuff, I love those couple of pages because the truth of who each of those characters are and how they relate to one another, like, comes through just in the very sparse dialogue that is given here. And I think that is a testament to the character writing that happens, because like, you get that even if you don't have all of the details of the history, that these two have a past, a connection, and also that Monet's kind of mean, but still cares.
There is an incredibly smart detail at the end of their conversation where Monet kind of suggests that, you've been gone for a while, I've kind of forgotten about you, but she has kept a drawer full of earplugs with her, because every time she flies with Siren, she needs to put them in. I mean, that's the kind of little character detail that just tells you so much about what the character's relationship was, what it is, what changed, what didn't. It's incredibly smart writing.
I'd love to talk about the art and the coloring specifically.
Yeah.
While we're here, because I think one thing that helps us stand out is that Valentine is like a professional artist to begin with, but generally working in the graphic design space, and that comes through. Valentine's artwork is very graphic in this. A tighter line style, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of halftone being used over this. Very clean lines on everything. And while I wouldn't say there is a lack of lines on this, it is not like an image, let's overdraw it sort of thing. There is detail, but it is all very clean, sparse detail in this.
Yeah, Valentine leaves the heavy sort of close-knit line work for things like people's hair or the vines of, or the Krakoan resurrection of the trees or something like that. People's faces and expressions are pretty lightly, sketched in, but yet you still get a sense of what the emotional impact is on how they're feeling, what they're supposed to be doing. But that graphic quality that makes every one of these pages like print worthy, frameable pieces of artwork, I think is huge.
Well, I think the coloring,
the limited color palette is really, really smart.
Online, you got the inks, and the inks are gorgeous. The inks are fantastic, but Valentine uses, I don't even want to say it's high saturation, because it's saturated in places, but it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Because it's not saturated. It is colorful, but not saturated.
Well, here's the technique that's being used here is that you do have a limited color palette, right? Which is set up like into motion basically with the first page. You kind of have a very,
it's all there.
You have a green and a pale red, a pale yellow, a turquoise, and a brown. And throughout this, that's pretty much like there are other colors, but it's limiting the palette to those washed out colors.
It's like resale printing.
Yes, they and also using a background of sort of a yellow tinge, like a yellowed white page of a comic, like a newsprint. And then instead of using various shades to create tone, Valentine uses the halftone, which then creates the different textures and light and dark that you need over top of those same colors. So, it's very much in line with like something you might see as a graphic design poster. And, it's thinking like a screen printer as opposed to, a comic colorist on a major book that would use the entire spectrum of color of the entire rainbow.
Yeah, but I would say there's something that when I was a Magic the Gathering guy, the head designer of Magic the Gathering has a saying: restrictions breed creativity. And that's not like a unique thing to say, but the way that Mark Rosewater said it always stuck in my head, because if you give yourself every option in the world, you can do things like how comics were colored between 1996 and 2000, where they said, we have all the tools, let's play with it. Where by limiting the color palette, by limiting what you're going to do, limiting the amount of texture that you're going to do in your line work versus with the halftone or things like that, you get a really cool, unique looking comic, and it feels more creative and more interesting than almost anything out there. And here's the thing, because I'm friendly with Valentine, I didn't want to go into this comic and be like, this sucks actually. So I was a little nervous, honestly, covering this. And then coming to it, I was like, oh, good. This does still rule. This is great.
Oh, I never had it doubted. I remember when I
I
read
just
this.
always doubt my memory on things.
Yeah, I remember when I read this for the first time, I was blown away by it. I revisited it again in the last couple of days just to make sure I was fresh on it, and it's excellent. So,
I knew it was good. I just didn't trust me. I always trusted Valentine. I just don't trust me. You have to understand.
so I think this is better than Kit and Wolf.
I think it's better
Kitten
than
Wolf
Kitten Wolf.
is fun, but this has an emotional punch to it that that other story did not. And so I think this is absolutely in, I don't know, the top 250 at the least.
Oh yeah. So
We put Kitten Wolf at 230. I think this is definitely
This is better than Kitten Wolf. Uh, I'm looking through it or through comics here. Like, it's hard because like this is an aggressively good comic.
yeah.
It is also 10 pages, and like, how much do you weigh all of that together? That's where it's tough, just because it is there's a bit of brevity to it. But like, my ceiling, I'm gonna say my ceiling.
Okay.
My ceiling is number 178 right now. Captain America 367. The time that Red Magneto put Red Skull in the hole.
Uh-huh. I know
And
you go back to this one a lot as your ceiling.
it's a good comic. I'm sorry. Tell me it's bad. Tell me it's bad. It rules.
It's fine.
It's arguably the dopest thing that's ever happened in a Marvel comic.
What is Runaways Volume 4? Is that the Rainbow Rowell?
That's this. No, that is the N.D. Stevenson Secret Wars.
Oh.
With the green art. Yeah, like, here's the thing. I'm going to say at 180 is Age of X-Man Extremists, a comic I really like.
Yep.
I think this is a better overall work than Age of X-Man Extremists.
Yeah.
And
So
I believe
up against that Secret Wars Runaway series, which is pretty good.
Yeah. And listen, I believe Valentine and Leah are tabling at a convention together, like, in the same time as this episode's coming out. So if they want to argue about it in person, they can. But
Well, they can, because by the time this episode airs, I will have gone to that convention and talked to them. So
oh, okay. Give Leah my best. Okay. That's
so where was this going?
I didn't realize that you would have to break the news to them in person. Don't do that. That's so mean.
What's mean about it? This is good. This is a good place on the list.
You know what? I think you frame it by saying that we put these right next to each other. We think they are equally in the same spot. I'm going to put it right above that, right below Runaways number 4.
All right.
Or volume 4.
Our new 180 is Valentine Smith's Siren comic, Resurrection and Recovery. Again, we'll put the link for the digital version of that so that you can take a look at that. It's quite remarkable. This last one is, gosh, this is funny. This is just funny.
This is interesting to go back to. It's Max Widdert's comic, Gene and Scott.
Yep.
This came out in 2014 on Tumblr. Now, Adam, I'm going to ask you, as someone who I know was making X-Men comics in the 2014-2015 timeline on Tumblr,
Mm-hmm.
do you have feelings about this comic?
I have really fond memories of this. This is a 15 episode webcomic by Max Widdert, who is a comedian, actor, illustrator. I believe most recently appeared on the HBO show Hacks.
Was Max Widdert on Hacks?
Just one episode. I don't watch Hacks. I
do.
Yeah.
Hold on. What?
Yeah, on the episode
A Slippery Slope. Max Widdert was on Hacks?
Yeah, season 4, episode 9.
Yeah, no, I know the episode.
Okay.
Played a character named Lionel. I don't know who that is.
Got to go back
I'll
and
be
check
honest.
it out.
I might. I'm going to be just completely honest. I wouldn't recognize Max Widdert in person if I met him. So
I mean, I think though that most of us who are familiar with this particular comic might recognize his illustration style, which is really fun. It's a kind of loosey goosey spaghetti line style, and for folks who don't know what we're talking about, this is Gene and Scott, and it is essentially a farce involving the X-Men animated series version of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. Because
okay, no, it's the X-Men animated series version of Jean and the regular version of Scott, which
yeah,
is an interesting mix.
yeah. I mean, so for folks who remember from the animated series, Jean wasn't exactly didn't have the most agency on that show. A lot of times she was fainting or
Scott.
in agony or falling down and, I'm out of control. And this takes that and it makes it into comedy gold. Every single one of these 15, some of them are short, some of them are 1 to 2 pages, some of them are like 6 or 7 pages. Every single one of these is flippin' hilarious. The first one is just Gene wants some more soda and won't get up off the couch.
Oh, my gluten allergy. These are there's not, folks, if you're expecting us to explain a plot on this, we would just be reading jokes to you. And that's not super funny. So go read these. Like, it's right there. You're on your phone, click the button. Park your car, click your button. If you're at work, open up another browser. The boss doesn't need to know what you're doing right now.
Well, just to give a couple of the synopses, right? Just to give people a sense. Like one of them is Scott finding things that Jean has bought and is hiding from him because they can't afford them, but then she's blaming it on the Phoenix. There's other times where she's using Cerebro to contact Scott instead of texting him. There's a Christmas episode that's very, very funny. There's a
There,
eBay competition between Gene and Emma Frost. There's the final one. Is the final one Morph's funeral?
no, that's the second to last one.
Yeah, there's a whole
That's
great one about Morph's funeral, and nobody has anybody knows what to say. Gene is just like talking in the background the whole time. I'm not doing this justice. Like just the tone of voice of these characters sniping at each other and being so, annoyed with each other is so funny.
it is funny. It also leans into the fact that Jean Grey can kind of be the worst. Like, because he's saying in comics, if she's being written well, Jean Grey kind of is not always nice. Jean Grey, I do not love the Supermanification of Jean Grey, and that's going to come out as derogatory to Superman. But what I mean is we have to make Jean perfect and flawless. Like, Jean's kind of mean when she's written right. Like, I feel like Jean can be snippy. Jean can have flaws. And Jean thinks that she knows better than everybody and is not afraid to, like, just press forward because she always feels like she has the moral high ground on things. Like, that's a fun Jean. And that is the Jean that's turned up to 11 for comedy effect in this comic.
Yes.
And it's not the Jean we always get.
No, and I agree with you. I don't really love the idea that she's infallible, and just the Phoenix goddess. Like the reason I love this so much is not just because it's a send up of the version of the character that we got on the animated series, but it's just like the version of the character we get here is very, very funny and is very much in line with some of the different scenes that we got from her throughout, especially like after she came back in X Factor and through the 90s.
Yes.
There's a whole thing in there's a beach episode, I think it's 11, where she's telekinetically holding her like amazing abs together, and it means that she can't chase the seagull who takes her lunch. And at one point she turns to Jubilee and says, "Why didn't you stop it, Jubilee? Did your sparkles not work? God, do I have to do everything myself?" It's so funny.
Jubilee did nothing wrong, by the way. Jubilee's just been standing there the whole time.
I feel like Storm also gets like some really good punchlines because they're really sending up the whole like goddess of the sky stuff.
I will meet you at the monorail kind of Storm. That's the Storm we're getting here.
Yeah.
Cyclops we're getting is the most put upon guy who is so tired of Jean.
Yeah. He's just like, can you just tell me what's going on?
Please.
What are you talking about? You know, can't. It's so funny.
Jean, you can't just say it's the Phoenix every time. You can't say it's a clone. Can you take some constructive criticism? You need to start taking ownership of your own laziness, Jean. You aren't the professor's darling anymore. You're an adult woman. I'm sorry, but I feel like I just had to say something.
And then she turns into the Greg Land Phoenix.
She does turn into the Greg Land Phoenix. She's kind of amazing.
It's pretty funny.
Well, Scott's in the foreground saying, "Now, how about helping me with this laundry?"
Yeah.
It is fun. So fun that Marvel did make this an official comic and had Max Witter come in for all new X-Men 25 and do a few pages in there.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I think we've talked about that on the show.
Yeah, we have. Here's what I'll say.
Yes.
There's a reason there's only 15 of these. Like, you're starting to... The joke by the end of it, I feel like, is starting to have worn out its welcome. And it's like, okay, let's move on to some new ground and new material. And I think Max Witter was like, well, I don't need to draw comics that have characters I don't know. That's fine.
Yeah. It's a fun, like, little period of these very funny strips that were coming out periodically. I remember getting a kick out of them when they were coming out. I remember, a lot of these going viral, and they do hold up, especially in the era of like animated series returning. It's very, very funny. So always makes me laugh.
These are good. If you haven't read them, go read them. They're fun little comics here.
Yes.
Absolutely worth checking out. I will say, of the ones we've covered today, probably the weakest total unit of the bunch, largely because they are strips more than they are a narrative.
Yes.
They're gag strips.
The other two are very complete stories. So these are, like you said, they're comic strips.
It means that on this particular list, with the criteria that we are judging all this on, it is hard for a single gag, to go super high.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go nearly as high, but this is also a lot of fun. And we have a lot of bad X-Men comics on this list. So
that's the thing. We do have a lot of bad X-Men comics. Like, here's what I'm looking at. I'm gonna throw this out here.
Yeah.
We have X-Men the manga 1 through 4 at 305.
Oh, okay. You were going to go in the 300s.
I'm just looking.
I think I was going to go a lot lower.
I feel like the manga, because it's another like animated thing, is a good starting point, but I do think that manga comes through as a stronger unit of comics.
Yeah.
Like, what's at 400 right now? We've got the time Cannonball tries to buy his mom a hat in Marvel Team Up. This is better than that.
Okay. I do like that issue. I think it's a really good issue.
It's a good issue, but this is better. I think this is better than that.
It's not better than Globlov's Man Kills at 392. Yeah. And it's not better than Spider-Man Perceptions at 393.
It's not better than Captain America Secret Empire where
the first one.
The first one where Richard Nixon is bad.
Yes. I will say, I think I have a better time reading this than Wolverine Volume 2, number 10.
Okay, yes, but that's just because Wolverine Volume 2, number 10 is not a good time to read this comic.
It's just unpleasant.
Here's what I'd say.
Though. Good art.
I would put this below that, but above, 2 spots below it, which is Wolverine 1 through 3, The Black Blade.
Okay, that's a good place for it. So this is going to be our new 397, the Max Witter, Gene and Scott comic strip. I love that we have taken this bold step into other stuff. There's still comics. There's still very talented people making them. They just are not published by the House of Mouse. So Zach, we just talked about 3 of these fan comics. Now, we only had room for 3 because that's the format of our show.
That's the format of our show, yeah.
Did you have any others that you were thinking of off the top of your head that maybe we should recommend to people to check out?
I did have a couple. So if you love gag stuff, Waiting for the Trade,
Always great.
always funny one-off, two-off gag strips. That is one of the reasons why I wish that I was one of the few reasons why I wish I was still on any social media that had that. In terms of just individual comics, there are 3 that stand out to me that I just want to highlight for folks who are looking for more X-Men fan things. 1, if you haven't read that Kate Beaton strip about Rogue touching a kitty cat,
It's pretty great.
you need to read that Kate Beaton strip about Rogue touching a kitty cat.
Yeah.
The other one that it was a real strong candidate to make this list of things that we would cover in this episode is the Faith Aaron Hicks comic about Wolverine getting eggs.
Oh, yes.
His Canada eggs.
Yes.
His Canada eggs. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if people say they don't taste different. He can taste the difference, and they're his eggs specifically for him. And that is a narrative where he goes fights ninjas at a grocery store. And it's also drawn by Faith Aaron Hicks, so it looks fantastic. The other one that I would say that, and I would say this for especially if you are a listener of this podcast and have never read it, do you know what I think they should read, Adam?
I don't know.
I think they should read Bish and Jews by Adam Reck.
Oh, hey, I made that.
I think they should read the X-Men fan comic that is specifically the reason this podcast exists and how we met.
That is true. That is
the one where I've tried to get us to rank it on the podcast several times, and you've said, no, we're not doing that, Zach. That's weird. And I said, fine.
Yeah. I don't think I can do that. But
I feel like there may be a conflict of interest for you personally.
Yeah, but if folks do want to read it, it is available to read digitally for free. You can download a PDF of it on gumroad.com/AdamReck.
You ever get weird things like, like Gumroad sent you, someone downloaded or bought this, and you're like, why did one person on this Tuesday
every
seek
time
this out?
Every time that I post the link for it, at least one person downloads it.
I get stuff on the Xavier Files zine sometimes where I'm like, how did you find this? No one's promoting this. The SEO is not that good.
Yeah, but if people do check it out, I do hope that they enjoy it. So, Zach, thank you for that. That was very sweet of you.
Those are the comics that I like. I like that stuff. I've read bad fan comics, just to be clear. I've read some truly atrocious, terrible ones.
Yeah.
And God bless the people who enjoyed making them.
Amazing. So who do we have to thank again for this amazing experience tonight?
We got to thank Patreon supporter Amos Bale for this one. If you want to be like Amos, go on to patreon.com. Show us Battle of the Atom. Reach deep down. Hearts, pocketbooks, coins, coffers. Do all those things. And buddy, we'll do a whole episode based around one of your suggestions. Keep it limited to official Marvel things-ish, unless it's good.
Yes. This is not necessarily a recurring feature.
They've got to they have to be as good as these 3. Here's the thing.
Yes.
You can submit them if they're as good as these 3. That's what you can do. If they are a narrative and cohesive and good.
There you go.
Because all these 3 are things that could be published in a Marvel comic.
Absolutely.
Adam, what do you got going on? What you doing?
Let's see, Comics XF stuff. My one and only Dr. Anna Papard and I did finally get our copy of X-Men Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse. We are now playing
Wait,
that.
what? Shut up! You didn't text me? You didn't text me. Hold on. No, shut up. What console are you playing it on?
Okay, this is a bit of a journey.
This is the rest of the podcast now. This is extra bonus stuff for me specifically because I'm not letting Adam get off the call.
Okay, so we started by running a PS2 emulator off my Mac.
Right, which would only have I'm doing this from memory. This is off the dome, which would not have any bonus characters on it.
I'm not worried about that as much. We were just having a lot of trouble not having lag on the PS2 controllers that we got with my MacBook. It just Bluetooth just wasn't working.
Makes sense. Okay.
Then we went and bought off Facebook Marketplace a Wii because we knew that the Wii played the GameCube games. However, once we got the Wii and we got the GameCube game, we forgot that you can't use the Wii remote for the GameCube games.
Yeah, you have to have the same GameCube controllers that you've had since 2003. A thing that I have on my Nintendo Switch and soon to be Nintendo Switch 2.
So we had step 1, step 2, and step 3 was to finally get the GameCube memory card and the 2 controllers. We are now playing the game. We are trying to get into Genosha to stop Apocalypse, and
so
having a good time.
Here's what I'll say: if you were like me and had it on the PlayStation Portable, do you know how many load times? Yeah, with the Universal Media Discs, you know about those. The load times were atrocious. Yes. However, exclusive to the PSP version, you could unlock Cable, Cannonball, Dark Phoenix, and Nate Gray X-Man.
Oh,
buddy, okay. Nate Gray was on my team. That's not a bit. That's not a bit.
That's very funny.
Just so you know, on the Nokia N-Gage, I'm throwing an N-Gage out there. You could be Beast.
Okay, that doesn't seem like a character that should be unlockable, but like
no, well, because Beast is
he's just standing. He's immobile. Anyway,
there are plot reasons why Beast is not a character in the game.
Yeah.
The Windows version of the game, you could, which is probably honestly what you guys should have got, because I bet your PC can run it. Oh, no, you have a Mac.
I have a Mac, yeah.
You could unlock Sabretooth and Pyro in that one.
Nice.
You also could, in the mobile version of the game, there were some characters, but the mobile
I believe the GameCube version allows you to unlock Deadpool.
There's also a secret unlock character that you probably don't know about. That's
you can tell me. I'm okay.
It's Iron Man. It's just a weird pick for 2005.
Ugh, no thanks. Okay.
He's very powerful, but I will say my understanding is that on the PC version, there is a very heavy mod community that existed for that game.
Oh yeah, people creating their own stuff, right?
But at least up to 10 years ago, people were just adding characters into the game. Like if there was a new X-Men, they were like, "Yeah, you're going to be in here, Quentin Quire."
That's great. I'll let you. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on where we're at. So far, we've been fighting a lot of bugs.
So you've just done the first mission. There.
We're I think we helped Blob stem it, stop up a dam or something. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. Zach, what are we doing next week?
I mean,
because we have a fun thing next week.
Oh no! Next week we're talking about. I forgot the bit, and we talked about it earlier. Next week we're doing a You Pick 'em. We haven't done one of those in a while, but we're doing a You Pick 'em, and that You Pick 'em is New Mutants comics that are incredibly tangentially related to 80s New Mutants.
Amazing! You're gonna see some wild picks next week, and
these
get ready.
Truly galaxy brain picks, including one that we would have picked because it's the best pick for this theme that could ever be. Unfortunately, it would be the number one comic on this list, so we can't do it. It would just break the list because it's that good. We'll talk about that next week. But until then, folks, this is Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!